Today, we're building a small shop-friendly table saw cart featuring a folding outfeed table, adjustable leveling hardware, and a simple dust collection system. And you can have all this for under $1 Benjamin, minus the price of the saw, obviously. Plans are available and free to everyone at WhosTheVoss.com. If after watching a how-to video, you still have to go purchase information, they're doing it wrong. Here's the problem with me just showing you a whole bunch of high-action cutting shots at the miter saw. All of our cuts are going to be 90 degrees. Most of them are duplicated 4 times, and everything is either 23 to 30 inches in length, and it's just going to get confusing. Let me just show you the project real quick, and then you'll see a whole bunch of boards cut up. So we are going to be using 4 pieces of plywood we're going to cut. You're going to have your top shelf, the bottom shelf, and then you're going to have these little wings on the top that you can cut and adjust to fit whatever saw that you have. 28.5 is like the largest width of a portable table saw. Metabo has one, I think it's 28.75 of an inch. All your other brands, Cobalt, DeWalt, Bosch, they're all gonna fit in that 28.5 inch opening. You have 2 options when it comes to the sides. This is how I like mine to look, to where the horizontal pieces go from the front to the back of the saw. And then you have these tiny cute little feet, and then you're gonna have this little short upright that fits in the middle. That is going to match the workbench that we had built together. You can set it up, however, to be the opposite. So if you wanted the uprights, the verticals, to be from the floor to the top of the cart, and then make your little horizontal pieces fit inside of that, you can do that as well. And they kind of overlap so that everything can get screwed and locked and glued together to give you the most structure. Oh, I'd say about 2.5 hours and killing 7 2x4s. And because I'm going for that overachiever sticker, I did round over every edge with just a round over bit in my router, even the long edges, because that's what the 2x4 comes factory with, is that gentle rounded edge. But then once you cut it clean on the edge, now you got a perfectly squared piece. And I didn't like the look of it on the flip carts. I didn't fix them when I'd made them originally. I took just an 80 grit sandpaper, I kissed everything, sanded it, got all the lettering, all the stupidness off of them, and now we're ready to do some assembly. First, you're gonna grab that 32.25 inch piece. It's the longest piece that you're gonna have. That is gonna be our inner side upright. So this is for the inside 2x4s. Yes, not the outside ones. And then we're going to prep it so that we have all of our spots to screw in our outer pieces once we flip this over and we get things, hot and heavy in assembly. So what we just need to do is measure down 3.5 inches. That's going to give us our spacing for the top rail. You're going to measure 1.5 inches up. That is going to give us the spacing for that cute little leg. And then 3.5 inches, again, 2x4 spacing. And we're going to make some holes here. So in 3.5 inches, making mark, you're going to have a perfect little square. You can either take your square, go across the side there, just 1 inch and 1 inch in from the corner, or you can measure 3/4 and 3/4. I don't want 4 of them. That's a little bit of overkill. This is really just because the glue is going to dry. And I like them to be the same direction. So if you're putting them this way, don't put 2 this way unless you want to. It's your cart. This big center spot is that 23.75 of an inch. He is the outer side upright. I just measured in 6 inches, centered, drilled out my spots. Again, the bottom, you have a nice perfect square. You can make a catty corner, 1 inch measurement, or 3/4. And the very bottom, he is just 3/4 up, 3/4 in, because that kind of centers that spot. Once I had the spots marked off, I used a 3/8 of an inch Forstner bit, and I just went down until I couldn't see the top head of my bit anymore, and then I pulled it out. That's how deep I need to go. Once you have those 32.25 inch uprights prepped and ready to go, you're going to take that 23 inch. This is going to be the inner rail, so the bottom and top rail. And I just put some simple 3/4 inch pocket holes, because when I flip it around, this is the inside of my cart that I'm going to be, looking at all the time, making cuts, judging my cart. I don't want to see pocket holes. And that's why I just put them near this top. So when it flips over, it doesn't impede my screws. So you're going to do that to both of them. So this guy has our pocket holes. This guy has our pocket holes. He goes all the way to the top. I'm going to apply a good little helping of glue. And I have not erased these lines yet, just so it's easier for me to see. And when I flip her over, grab your triangle. Just gonna check it for square. With the notion of eyeballing it, it looks pretty good. So I've got two clamps. One clamp is holding this nice and tight together. This clamp is just making sure that my boards aren't misaligned and they are laying perfectly flat. So when I put that next board on top, there's not a gap. Doesn't create any like glue spots, stuff like that. And onto the top, we are doing that exact same step. Our nice flat surface, so we have our holes. You don't see any crags. It's a good deal. Then you're going to grab one of your 30-inch cuts. Find out which side you want to be seen and visible all the time. That side's pretty. And you're going to add some glue all the way down. If you don't want to have to smear this around, get your fingers all dirty. You don't have to, but it really does diminish your glue surface area. Glue surface area is very important. I'll be using an 8-gauge, 2.5-inch cabinet screw. They're beautiful. They have great hold up. They look like, you know, these little mushrooms on the top. It's not like your typical drywall screw, and it's not going to try to suppress. It's going to bite the bottom of our Forstner bit, and it's going to suck everything together. And we're going to repeat those same steps for the bottom. Grab two 23 3/4-inch pieces. They are going in these gigantic voids. I don't feel the need to clamp those down, but I am going to flip it back over so I have all of the spots. I'm going to pilot in these two screws into each one. And then the two tiny little adorable feet, they just go right under here. Oh, so cute. Oh, let's hope I don't split it out when I screw this together. And we're going to repeat all this one more time. And once you have both of these assembled, the only pieces you're going to have left over are the 28.5-inch pieces, all 6 of those. I moved it up to the 1.5 inch, just some pocket holes. I hugged them to this side because when I go to screw it into the side here, I'm not going to hit any of these screws. I'm going to hit the nice little tasty meat of our wood. So this is going to go right there. And then corresponding holes, it's going to be right here for the top when I go to lay it down. So I did that to both of these first two pieces. All right, now for the tricky part of getting these babies to line up. I guess I'm going to do down here on the ground. Work with me, workbench. Workbench. Not a team workbench, just a workbench, I guess. And then we're going to do that one more time with another 28.5-inch. They just go on the interiors of these two boards. Again, just lining up my pocket holes so that I'm not going to be hitting any screws. Then I did measure in those 6 inches, did that little 3/8 pilot so that I can anchor these two boards together once they're in the center. Here I am cutting a 4x8 sheet of 3/4-inch OSB down to 28.5 inches, mainly because I only have a small piece of 3/4-inch plywood that I'm going to be needing for that outfeed table. Measure the bottom size and cut a piece to fit. This is for the bottom shelf. Add a few pocket holes to secure it in place. Voila! And before we flip it over, you might as well screw on your caster wheels. Yeah, I see you run into the comments. I called it a caster wheel. A caster's a type of wheel. You don't have to repetitively say the word wheel afterwards. Then I cut one more piece of 3/4-inch plywood to be that 28.5-inch wide by 30 inches long. And with that 28.5-inch by 30-inch cut, and we take our last couple pieces of 28.5-inch wide 2x4s, we're going to build that shelf that is going to hold up our table saw. I'm just going to blast this from underneath, so I'm hitting that 3/4-inch using an 1 3/8 18-gauge brad nail just to hold it in place for me. There repeat that for the other side. So instead of measuring the height of my table saw and then adding in the shelf height and then taking it over to the cart and putting a bunch of clamps on it and trying to get it perfectly aligned, I go to screw it in and now it's like a 1/16 of an inch off because it pulled it up or something. They make hardware so you don't have to do any of that. And what this does is it actually will mount into our upright, and it has this little screw bolt, and you raise it, lower it to where you need it to be, and now that independently will level each corner instead of it just being set in stone where it goes. And these are super, super cheap. If you guys don't want to Dremel or router out a notch in the side of your legs, you can take just a piece of 1x material and, you know, put this on the side and mount it to this. I want to use a Forstner bit. I want to drill into this piece just a little bit so that it's not just freely floating around on the top as I'm pushing the cart around. It could cause my table saw to fall off the shelf. So I'm going to take our piece of hardware, set it on top of our bracing. This nice flat spot is going to be in line with the edge of our 2x4. Again, this little lip, it's going to get cut into the legs. Kind of center it here, you know. It's a quick little eyeball. Trace around it. And I am using an 1.5" Forstner bit. 1.25" will get me there, but it's going to be really, really snug. This gives me a little bit extra play. And I'm just going to drill down, again, just the depth of my Forstner bit, just to give it something to kind of sit into. So you guys aren't scratching your heads as much as I am. My table saw height is 13.25 inches. So I can measure down 13.25 inches. I do still have to put a 3/4 inch piece of plywood on the top to finish off these rails. So I'm going to add that, so 13.25 going up to 12.5. And wouldn't you know it, I have to go back down 3/4 of an inch because of that OSB shelving. So back to 13.25 minus my 1.5". That's going to be my thickness of the 2x4. So boop, boop, down to 14.75 of an inch. Then I'm going to go up about 1/2 inch because I drilled in for that Forstner bit. So that's going to raise it back up. I'm at 14.25. And that's where I'm going to be drawing my line, drilling this out, installing these little guys. To cut the recess for the hardware's lip, I used a 1/4 inch flute bit set to the correct depth and used a scrap piece of wood as a fence, letting the rounded section of my router glide across it. You get straighter cuts that way. All right, the moment of truth. See what I did wrong. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm uncomfortable. I think the table saw is going to have a nice life. Yeah. Oh, gotta make sure she's unplugged. Okay. I'm just kidding. What is going on that I can't pick this up? Oh, I haven't done any of the fine tooth adjustments yet, but so far she fits like a glove. Our next hurdle is the fact that I can't move my fence because it runs on these rail systems. Depending on what table saw you're gonna have rails because your fence can extend 45 inches away from your blade, and it's gotta do so on extendable rails. To fix this problem, the front rail is in front of our cart, so I don't have to worry about that one. I don't have to gar up any of the front. It's gonna look nice. And the back one, I just gotta cut out just a little recess and groove it in so that the rails can move on both sides. I want to mount my outfeed table before I work on getting the smaller pieces of plywood for the arms. And our outfeed table is just this mechanism. It opens up, it locks into place, put your plywood sheet on top, push this button, it drops it back down, so it's out of the way. If you don't need it up, it ain't up. And it doesn't require additional little legs off of the back. And what this does is it just extends out our table saw, so when we're making cuts, things aren't dropping off into the abyss. Get these installed, I just put a piece of plywood up here, piece of plywood over here, just so I could figure out where my level is going to be. I threw a level on top of it. A little scrap piece of wood, clamp holding this in place, second set of hands. And then I just lightly tapped this up until it was flush across the top. And now I can put my screws into these, do the same for this other side, and get my plywood ready. This fancy intricate cut will make sense in a moment. I noticed that when I put my outfeed brackets in the down position, they stuck up in the air past my table saw. So after countersinking my screws, I now have a fully functional outfeed table. But when I go to put it down, you can see these stick up above the tabletop. And if I'd cut this board perfectly straight, I'm not cutting that long of a board. So I just made this kind of funky design. It kind of dips down, this dips in front. It actually looks pretty cool. When it comes together, one solid piece, can easily run my boards through. It's perfect. And to create my cut line, I just used a roll of tape. Just set it here, traced it, set it here, traced it, made sure this was straight. Picked something that my jigsaw could easily cut as a radius without it being too sharp, so I could do it in one go. There's a tube on the back of your table saw. You might notice that it throws up heavily when you're running your saw, and that's because you should hook up some sort of dust collection. More than likely, your table saws come with some sort of a smaller bag you can hook onto the back, and it collects the dust. It stops it from shooting into the room and going airborne and getting in your lungs and stuff. This is just a really large version of that. It's just a larger bag. It's made by PowerTech. Is this one. Has a nice little squeezy on the top. Has a nice bridge piece to hold it upright. And it's just a lot bigger, so it can fill up. I know mine would actually touch the ground when I was back here. Just use a binder clip. Clip it up a little bit if you'd like. Otherwise, all of my tools have this little rubber coupling on them. That's how I hook up my dust collection systems. There's entire videos on this. And that way I don't have to try to put it on, and tighten the little clamp or something. It just fits into place. It holds it snug. I run what I'm doing and then we're done. So to hook this piece up, I'm gonna have to buy one more of those couplers. I didn't know I needed one, so I just gotta buy one of those. And I'm gonna be using this as well, because if my cart's over there, I don't have to try to bring it over here to hook it up to my dust collection system, or if it's already hooked up to something else, I just need to make a quick cut. Just gonna have this bag on the back of it. And lastly, you need to cut these pieces of plywood that go on the sides so it makes everything kind of match and look cool. And with these pieces, I just cut it so that it was flush with this big cutout opening that I had. It comes right up to the front, doesn't impede my rails. I can move this right over the top of it. Works flawlessly. And then whatever size tabletop you have, you might need to adjust these to be a little wider, maybe a little skinnier. And I just have a 1/2 inch lip on the outside. That's how big the lip is for my outfeed table. So it matches perfectly. And it'll just butt up to your tabletop so that it fills in that little bit of a gap. Mine are just screwed down. I did not glue them in case I need to replace them in the future. And I just found the center of my 2x4, made just kind of eyeball mark. And then I measured in 1 inch from each side, threw some screws down, recessed them again so everything was nice and smooth on the top. If you guys wanted to, if you use these rails and you have sleds and different things, you might need to continue them to go into your outfeed table. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to add an extra piece underneath for support, because this is pretty deep. I haven't cut mine out yet. I'm going to get there. Will you calm down? I'm going to tell them about it right now. We went over budget. I said it was $100, and that's basically just the cost of all the extra add-on hardware-y stuff. Once you add in the price of wood and glue and the nails, the screws, you're going to come out to $162.09. The dust collection bag, $11.99. Adjustable legs, $15.99. Outfeed table, this is where it gets you, $49.99. Casters, $25.64. 7 2x4x8s at $264. That's $18.48. The OSB, which I did have 3/4 of that left over, but we'll put the full price, $15. And then a quarter sheet of plywood, that's $25. Full sheet of plywood's costing you $90 to $100 these days. Yikes. $162.09. But look at what you get. Man, would I pay it again? Sure I would. Heck yeah. You're a train. You can only go on one spot. It's the big metal things in the middle of town. We know where you are. Every 40 minutes, we gotta wait till the train passes. Maybe there's 2 trains. I don't know.